Chains rattle broken, now we rise. Flag in my hand, stars burn the skies. Truth ain't dead, though the liars try. They scream loud, but the words all die. Guys watching hands, praise to the throne. Freedom ain't free, blood built this home. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Red, white, blue, we bleed to survive. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Land of the free, ain't bending the knee. Truth in my veins, it's all I see. Patriots roar, no fear in the fight. Continue freedom, stand in the light.
Ben, you're first in the chat tonight, or this afternoon, not tonight yet. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we've got an interesting live stream tonight, or I keep saying tonight. I'm used to doing this later in the day, and I rarely ever do it on Sunday. But I have to correct a couple of things from yesterday's live stream. So yesterday I was talking about the guy who was shot by ICE agents, and it looked like and this is what was alleged, is that he was assaulting this woman. He wasn't. He wasn't assaulting the woman. They had all been pushed off the street by ICE agents, and then the confrontation continued and it escalated, and then he jumped on top of the other person. So anyway, that's just a clarification from yesterday. We've got some new stuff I'm going to show you. It's actually clearer video that we can see a bit more, and there's a new theory around what happens. And before we get into it, this is just the disclaimer. All of this stuff is going to get hashed out in the investigation. If it goes to a court of law, this stuff is going to get hashed out in a court of law. So right now we're just looking at the evidence. We know that this whole thing, you guys know this, I know this whole thing was avoidable. When you have a firearm on you, as this guy did, I look at it like, okay, you're going to the bar, right? And there's certain things like in the state of Tennessee. If you're going, I don't go to bars, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you're going to go to dinner and you're going to have a cocktail, you are not allowed to be under the influence of alcohol and have a firearm. So you just don't take it, right? You be responsible with those things. If you were going to confront ICE agents, you want to have a firearm, you better leave the firearm in your car. That's just the way it goes. If he knew he was going to be an agitator, he had obviously had ill intent of some sort. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in the confrontation in the first place. But before we get to the new video, I have to tell you that the online rhetoric is really, really ramping up. And this is why when the left says, take their masks off, we heard in, I believe it was in, I think it was in Minneapolis. No, it was Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell came out and said, if he wins the governorship, any ICE agent who wears a mask is going to be unhireable, is not going to be able to get a driver's license. We know that the left loves to dox, and this is what they're doing in this instance. So Brian Krasenstein, he's a very deplorable person, but he's already asking the ICE agent who shot Alex Preddy appears to be from Texas. Anyone with information on this man, please contact me immediately, because he wants to push it out for all the world to see. Right? And this is their MO. Doxing is their MO. Not just that, but it's the death threats. Right? This is James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe posted this one. It's got 32 million views now. And this is the type of message that he's receiving. It says, "We know you're in Minnesota. You're with O'Keefe." This is from a member of his crew. "With O'Keefe and his crew of Nazis. You're in a white Ford license plate. Gave their license plate from Florida. You have 1 hour to leave, or you're going to be unalived." This is why masks are required. This is why, the situation for federal agents it's an untenable situation, but for conservative media as well, because the left is insane. They are absolutely nuts. This is a mental health problem amongst their community. So anyway, let's get into this latest video and this latest, I'll say theory. I saw it actually first from Phil Labonte. Hey, KC, welcome. This was from Phil Labonte, and it's the first 1080p footage that I have come across. And with 1080p, look, as a videographer by trade, we know that regardless of how high quality the footage is, as soon as it gets onto a social media platform, it's getting compressed. Even if it's 1080p, when you're zooming in or cropping into that imagery, it's going to look grainy. We had the same issue with the Charlie Kirk footage. People were saying, where were the 1080p cameras? Well, it's not really going to make that much of a difference anyway. But let's play this, and I'm going to show you what the new theory is. So you guys have heard the whistle. I'm going to wait until we get to that point. So here's the altercation. They get pepper sprayed. He climbs on the back of this person, whoever that is. And as they're pulling him away, he's still latched onto that person. That's why it looked like some sort of a conflict between the two of them. Now look at the guy in the gray jacket. So this guy right here, this is the one that we're looking at. Check this out. So he comes up and he has the firearm. I'm going to play this back at 0.25 speed. So we'll slow it down so that we can look at it. And then we'll look at a cropped in shot as well. Let me make sure that is, yep, we're going at the slow speed. All right, it's coming. Might have slowed it down a little too soon. Okay, here you can see that guy in the gray jacket has a firearm in his hand. Now, what people are alleging is that was the victims or the guy who was shot. That was his firearm. And I'm going to play this. You hear that report, okay? That report from the firearm. I'm going to back it up one more time so you can hear it. There it is. Now, what people are saying is that the firearm in question was a SIG P320. And for anybody who follows firearm content, the SIG P320 has a horrendous track record of basically, they call them negligent. People are misusing the term. It's an accidental discharge, not a negligent discharge. So a negligent discharge would mean that guy had his finger on the trigger and it went off. An accidental discharge is one where the person, apparently it's not his gun, Ben. That's what people are saying. Again, all this is going to get hashed out in the investigation, but I'm trying to do my part to say this is what people are saying, and here may be a justification for it, but it's not. This is nothing ironclad. But the weapon in question was apparently a SIG P320. And if, like I said before, if you know firearms content, the SIG P320 was bought by a lot of law enforcement agencies, and I believe that was the one. Somebody can correct me down in the chat. I believe that was the one that the military transitioned to. But there were accidental discharges. Basically, the weapon would go off on its own. There were numerous problems, they said. Now, SIG has come out and said that no, it's not. It's only operator error. But the number of accidental discharges was very high, and there were reports of police officers having the firearm go off in their holsters while they're just walking around the police station. They said it was improper holstering, this, that, and the third. Could that be a possible explanation? Yeah, possibly. But let me play the zoomed in version of the video as well. As I said, this one was posted by Phil Labonte. He's the lead singer from All That Remains, but he's a frequent guest on the Tim Pool podcast. And this was the video. Let me zoom in on it here. I think this one might actually zoom in. I think this is it. Yeah. Let me expand it so you guys can see. It says, this is what they say. This is alleged. They allege. Okay. And so that wasn't the zoomed in one. Let me see if I've got, oh wait, here we go. This is a better version of it. My bad, guys. I played the wrong one. That was more or less the same one. So what they are saying is that you can actually see the slide moving to the rear. Okay. This is the video it's all over the internet. And his hand, you can tell, it doesn't appear that his hand is on the trigger or that his finger is, but it's nearly impossible to see. So all this is going to come out. They're going to, I'm sure, do residual detection of having fired a weapon. This is something they can do forensically. I'm sure that this is going to be a thorough investigation. But it comes back to the situation to begin with, which is the left. Yes, people, I know somebody in the comments said that we're blaming the victim. I'm not blaming the victim for being armed, because this is part of our Second Amendment. I'm a staunch Second Amendment advocate. However, that doesn't absolve you of your responsibilities to handle a firearm safely, or to not put yourself, your responsibility to not put yourself in a situation while being armed that could lead to you being shot or whatever. And this is what this guy did. He knew he was going to be confronting ICE agents. He was aggressive with ICE agents. As a result, he found himself in a compromising situation, and it was one that was entirely unnecessary. So if it's a good shoot or if it's not, we will find that out. And if it's not, I hope that whoever the police officer was, things will happen. But just like we talked about, I hope that there's, disciplinary action against the guy. But we also have to understand that the nature of those circumstances cannot be understood by the average American. Most people don't know what it's like to be in the situation that ICE agent was in. They are constantly, I can play some more video, and I will, of them constantly under attack. They're in an impossible situation. Everybody's frosty. Everybody's on edge. They have a whole slew of people who aren't just there to commit violence against them, but are backed up by the local law enforcement, by the state law enforcement. They are backed up by the governor. They are backed up by the mayor of Minneapolis. They are on the defensive 100%. And the point was made. I'll play the video here in a minute as well. This is kind of leading into what the rest of what we're going to talk about. There was a guy on not CNN, on Fox, who was saying, look at Texas. Texas has 10 times more deportations than Minneapolis, and there's no incident. Why? Because the people in Texas want these individuals to go back to the country where they came from and to stop leeching off the system. That's not what the people in Minneapolis want. That's not what maybe the people do, but it's not what the leadership wants. If the people do, they have a strange way of saying it or of showing it. I'm gonna play. Let me do this clip next. This is the police chief. I played some of his footage yesterday, or some of his interview yesterday, and I think interestingly enough, I'm going to say he makes a valid point. Let me play this.
Heard from federal officials. Is there any evidence that you know of that Preddy was assaulting the federal officers as the Border Patrol chief claims?
Well, I've seen the videos just as thousands of people around the country have, and the videos speak for themselves. I think it's deeply concerning, the things that are being said. This is an individual that was a city resident. It appears that he was present, exercising his First Amendment rights to record law enforcement activity.
There's video footage of him in the middle of the road blocking traffic.
And also exercising his Second Amendment rights to lawfully be armed in a public space in the city.
Which he's allowed to do, but not in the commission of a crime.
So I think very obviously there are serious questions that are being raised. And I think the greater issue is, even if there is an investigation that ultimately proves that at the time of the shooting it was legally justified, I don't think that even matters at this point, because there is so much outrage and concern around what is happening in the city.
And I think that's actually a valid point, that it doesn't matter, because this isn't about justice. This isn't about law and order. In fact, it's about the opposite. It is about lawlessness. It is about getting the federal agents out who are removing the monetary base, the voting base, all of this for the Democrat Party, and the ones that follow them, hook lines that follow them lockstep, who take the bait from mainstream media and from all the left-wing loonies online. They take it hook, line, and sinker. It's not about law and order. It's not about justice for the guy who was shot. Because even if they say, you know what, this was a bad shoot. Our investigation revealed that it's a bad shoot, and we're putting this guy away for 1 year for negligent homicide, or 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever, 10 years, whatever it is for negligent homicide. Is that going to stop the riots? No, it's not, because it's not about that.
What do you mean it doesn't matter at this point? You mean the situation on the ground is already, the impression is left?
People have had enough. This is the third shooting now in less than 3 weeks. The Minneapolis Police Department went the entire year last year recovering about 900 guns from the street, arresting hundreds and hundreds of violent offenders, and we didn't shoot anyone. And now this is the second American citizen that's been killed. It's the third shooting within 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. People have been speaking out, saying that this was going to happen again. And I think everyone is kind of waiting for folks on both sides to come together and just figure this thing out. This is not sustainable.
Okay, so how are we going to figure it out? Are we going to figure it out through the rhetoric of Tim Walz? Are we going to figure it out through the rhetoric of Mayor Fry? Is that going to help? No, of course it's not, and that's not their intent. This guy he's spouting the left does this all the time. They spout pleasantries, and it's all, we got to come together, we got to do this. Yet they're the first ones to dox people. They're the first ones for death threats. They're the first ones, like the Trantifa guy that I showed you yesterday, who are coming out to take the lives of innocent American citizens who are there to not just disrupt, but to harm, damage. Countless videos of ICE agents being beaten up in the streets, being on the defensive. And, look, this is, here we go. This is Tim Walz. He continues to, in his Nebraskan way, because he's not from Minnesota, he's from Nebraska. Keep that in mind. The governor talks about Minnesota grit. He ain't from Minnesota, but here we go. I'm going to play the last part of this.
We saw it this morning. Before any investigation is done, you have the most powerful people in the federal government spinning stories and putting up pictures, and unrelated people who we don't know anything about, and a picture of a firearm to try and spin a narrative. And I ask Americans, this will end when enough Americans say this will end. Do I have any confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing? No, I don't have a lot of confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing. I do have a lot of confidence that the majority of the American people will do the right thing. And I think there cannot be very many people across this country looking right now, after all the reporting that's been done, after everything that's been said, under the pretense that they are here about immigration reform, and quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. We have law enforcement who do an incredible job. And to listen to Greg Bovino denigrate the work of our people who are out there cleaning up their mess, no, I don't have a lot of confidence that he himself will do it. But here's what I do have confidence in. There's a whole lot of Republicans, for whatever reason, cannot find their spine. But they might find the ability to know that they're not going to win another election as long as they live, unless they stand up for what's right, and stand up for the rule of law, and stand up for human decency.
Which is what they are trying to do. They are trying to stand up for the rule of law. That is what ICE is trying to do. Whistles, pepper spray people with shields and gas masks. The guy who had the whole box full of gas masks yesterday, thousands of dollars worth, that presumably, no idea where he got the money for it, but we can assume that it came from Soros or one of these other nonprofits that's fueling Riot Inc. across America, the same ones that did it in 2020. And he says, don't even call these people law enforcement. So it's this constant effort to delegitimize a legitimate federal agency who is doing the job that they are constitutionally obligated to do, that they're legally obligated to do, and constitutionally allowed to do, which is to enforce our immigration laws. That's why the whole organization exists in the first place. And the rhetoric around Tim Walz, he said you don't legitimize these people. They're not actual law enforcement. And I did the whole spin up about the National Guard is being deployed in Minneapolis. The National Guard's being deployed. This is Tim Walz escalation. And what is Tim Walz having them do? And Tim Walz, he came in on that as well, saying this is having to be done. This is it's treating it like it's a militant situation with the National Guard, which it is obviously, but we're having to do this because of Donald Trump. And what's he having the National Guard do? He's got him out here giving out coffee and donuts to fascists. Now, some people say that this is so that they'll be friendly with the National Guard and just go after federal agents. But we know for a fact that the lunatics that I've been showing you on video on a loop for all this time, they're not going to settle with just that. If a National Guard person is in front of the Whipple, which I believe is their federal building, if there's a National Guard soldier in front of that, alongside ICE or alongside any other federalized or federal entity, yeah, they're going to be in the crossfire. And the first thing they do, it's kind of funny, actually, maybe a little bit of hypocrisy here on their part, but what's the first thing they do? The no borders people, the ones who say, bring in everybody, welcome in everybody, they start putting up borders. You guys remember Chaz and Chop when they did that back in, I believe was that in Seattle or was that Portland? When they were burning cities to the ground, they had Chaz and they had Chop. And they, they start putting up borders. The borderless people, the globalist, borderless world people, the first thing they do is they start trying to take over streets, take over city blocks. And this is why Tim Walz says he brought in the National Guard, as I said before, because the federal building is under threat. And they arm themselves. There's so many videos out here of these people, the anti-Second Amendment people, who are arming themselves. And this is the difference. When Donald Trump's administration has not done a good job, I have to say, for a pro-Trump guy, as I am, I'm a MAGA guy. I don't like the way they're handling this. I'm gonna play a clip from Scott Bessent, who is better left talking about, the economy and all of that than he is talking about situations like this, in my opinion. Listen to what he says, and this has been echoed by other people in the
Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact, it appears that he was disarmed before
he brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
Okay, Secretary Bessent, thank you.
And this is, here's the thing: the fact that the guy had a gun. I'm going to reiterate something. That doesn't bother me. If you're at a protest and you have a firearm, you're absolutely allowed to do that. But if you go to a protest knowing that you are going to become aggressive, violent, have physical contact with ICE agents, then yeah, you probably should have left it at home, because you're elevating your risk of damage, not just to yourself, but to others. So that's irresponsible on his part. But them saying this is what they've done on a loop, and it's driving me nuts, is, well, he shouldn't have had a gun. He shouldn't have had a gun. No, he's legally allowed to have a gun. But what we're going to find out is how he used that gun, if he used that gun. And the undeniable fact is that he put himself in a situation that he didn't need to be in. He could have, holding up a sign, you're not getting, look, federal law enforcement's going to do nothing to you if you're out in the street holding up a sign that says ICE sucks, or down with Trump, vote Trump out, whatever. Peaceful protest, you're going to be fine. But they do it knowing they're going to be aggressive. Let's see. And here's the clip I was telling you about before. So this is in Texas. This is what they're saying they use Texas as a comparison. That Texas is able, well, here, let me just play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
I'm very confused about why the conversation is about what you're talking about, instead of focusing on what really matters, which is why in one city, in one place do we have these problems. We deport 10 times the number of illegal aliens out of Texas than we do out of Minneapolis. Why do we hear nothing out of Texas about any of the same problems that we have in Minneapolis? I'll tell you why. Because in Texas, we have the cooperation and support of local law enforcement so that we can do these operations safely, keeping U.S. citizens and others protected and safe. That is not what we have in Minneapolis. And the fact that it's the administration that's being blamed for the utter failure of leadership in Minneapolis is not right. It's not appropriate.
But are you saying those officers?
So, yeah, it's the finger wagging. Everybody's going to do it, right? We're always wagging the finger at the other side. But kind of along the same lines we were talking about yesterday, this is, there's anytime something like this happens, it's sad. I mean, I kind of started off sounding a bit gruff about it, but I am sad when anytime that law enforcement has to get involved in an altercation, a lethal altercation. Because you understand the second and third order effects, not just to the family of the person whose life was taken, but to the lives of the officers who have to live with the fact that they took somebody's life. That's a sad, sad thing. But as adults and as Second Amendment people, as gun owners, responsible gun owners, we're also supposed to know when to, the right time to exercise our Second Amendment rights, how to exercise our Second Amendment rights, how to be responsible when we have a firearm, how to avoid confrontation because it's supposed to be defensive use for us. And when you have things, kind of running like a sewing machine, like I won't say like a sewing machine, but more so in comparison to Minneapolis, it is kind of running like a sewing machine down in Texas. Local law enforcement's good with it. The people are good with it. Everybody's working together. They're getting people deported. 10 times more people are being deported. Nobody's having violent altercations like this. They might have scuffles and things when they're arresting people, but the local population is interested in doing this. These outside, I believe a lot of them are, it's my guess, but I believe a lot of the rioters and the people who are causing most of the scuttle in Minneapolis are outside people. These are the paid protesters. These are the Riot Inc. that we talked about yesterday. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being pumped into all of these nonprofits that are there simply to sow discord in a community and disrupt the deportation of the Democrat Party's voting base. And you can't tell me it's not Trantifa. This was confirmed. I was like, I don't know if I should play this or not or show this or not. But yeah, this was the Antifa guy that I was telling you about. This is confirmed, right? You got an Antifa guy, of course, he's going to be dressing up in drag. Talks about in one breath when he's handing out gas masks, he's talking about wanting to protect the mothers who are coming down there and make sure that they can, have a gas mask. On the other hand, on his weekends, he's talking about how he hates women and he dresses like one. He hates actual women. He likes his version of a woman. This is this is a funny one, but this is there's a mental health crisis on the left. I'm sorry. There's, the handicapped guy just witnessed a miracle, everybody. He just witnessed a miracle.
Grenades that initially came out. I know the smell of smoke. Not sure what just happened there.
Guy stole his grandmother's rascal so he could go out and, I don't know, throw Molotov cocktails or bottles at ICE or whatever it is he's doing. It's wild. I hate that we're in this situation, but people in Minnesota, if people in Minnesota listen to this, I repeat this on a loop, but it really is true. You did vote for this. You might not have intended for this to be the end state for how you voted, but your leadership, that is on you. That is your responsibility. And, I don't know what else to tell you. It's a bummer that they won't get the people out who have fleeced the American people of $9 billion out of your state. If you're in Minnesota, $9 billion. They sent $700 million in cash to a foreign country. They are funding terrorist organizations in foreign countries out of one state. And who facilitates that? State leadership. They do. They look the other way. Let's see. So you guys let me know. I see the comments. I'm going to get to some of these comments. Let's see. This isn't a supporting day. Y'all need to expand your mind. The guy shouldn't have stepped between law enforcement and their activity, but that isn't a death sentence. Any 2A. Okay, I got it. Hang on. I got to bring this comment up here. So Dr. Green Thumb, this isn't a supporting Donald J. Trump thing. Y'all need to expand your mind. The guy shouldn't have stepped between law enforcement and their activities. Exactly. There is no escalation if that doesn't happen. There is no escalation where he is constantly going back to ICE to interfere with ICE. ICE pepper sprays the guy. Then the guy, as you saw in the video, is on top of another person, latched onto them as ICE is pulling them away. So there was apparently some conflict there, the nature of which we don't know. ICE is trying to arrest the guy and he's resisting. There's multiple steps to this. The simple thing is, look, okay, you pushed me off. I got it, guys. I got it. I stepped over the line. I'm a big boy. I'm an adult. I'm just going to go over here and hold a sign. And they say, good, you do that. Is that the case? No. It's this culture of intentional confrontation where no confrontation is needed. It's just being agitators. And then when something like this happens, it's the cops. Oh, it's the cops. Oh, it's the federal law enforcement. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. It's not me. I'm not responsible for any of this. I'm allowed to fight police. I'm allowed to resist arrest. I'm allowed to have a firearm in the commission of a crime against federal law enforcement. I'm allowed to do all this. It's the way they look at it. And that just ain't real life. So while I will reiterate, I will say again, it is sad when things like this happen. But we are adults here. All of us are adults. We have to act accordingly. And the people in these rioters in Minneapolis are not. They're like a bunch of spoiled children. And they're playing a game that they have no chance of winning. It just doesn't end well, and it's entirely unnecessary. As I said yesterday, look, what's a simple argument for Tim Walz? Let's look at Tim Walz and Donald Trump. They can sit down, the governor, the president. And he says, Mr. President, I've got a lot of people that are really concerned about what's going on in Minneapolis. And I know that your ICE presence is very high in Minneapolis. And I know that you're trying to get a lot of these people out. We have a lot of folks that disagree with that. Can we still accomplish your mission if we decrease your ICE presence and we augment it with some of our local law enforcement to help you serve some of these warrants? But here are our criteria. Only the people who are, violent in the form of, manslaughter, domestic assault, whatever. And they debate back and forth their criteria. And he says, I'll help you with that. That might be some middle ground. But instead, he says, nope, none of these law enforcement individuals are legitimate. Kick them all out. And in fact, hey, people, go out here and put your lives on the line, rioting and wreck the city. They did it in 2020. They're doing it now. There you go. Here we go. Destin Rain. She said, raised in Minneapolis, still have family there. They absolutely want ICE to stay and clean up the mess the Dems have done. Look, Destin, I hope that your folks talk to your people. Talk to your people, my friend. I tell you, they have got to start voting differently. And people on the left are the first to complain about how things are going. They're the first to say that, oh, this is terrible. The taxes are too high. There's too much regulation. There's Somalis everywhere. There's people who don't speak English. Nobody in my town speaks English, and there's no jobs, and there's this, there's that. And they turn around and vote for the very people who made that a reality wherever they happen to live. And they keep creating their own it's the problem with utopia, right? They think the socialist mindset is of creating a utopia, and it is impossible. The closest thing we've got to a utopia is our constitutional representative republic. And that's the very thing that the Democrats want to upend, that they want to flip over, because it restricts the power of the federal government and maximizes the freedoms of the individual. That doesn't work well for them. Never works well for socialism. Let's see. If he wanted his residents to be safe, all he has to say to them is keep out of the way of law enforcement officers. There you go, Fran. Bingo. You're right on the money. You are right on the money. If he wants his residents to be safe, all he has to do is say, stay away from federal law enforcement. By all means, on public sidewalks, in the public square, go to the main park in the middle of town and protest. That is your right. That is your First Amendment right. But he's encouraging them, him, Mayor Fry, the police chief, all of them. And a lot of actual residents and citizens, residents of Minneapolis or Minnesota in general, they are following the outside protesters. They are the ones that have the resources, that have the social media presence, all of that. Let's see. Ain't that the truth? Yo, hey, Niles, welcome to the chat. Sorry, trying to chat more, making a birthday cake from Hey, congratulations. Congratulations, Ben. It's all good, man. I'm just getting to the chats. Let's see. Hey, Future. Welcome back. Guys, if you're new here, I highly encourage you to hit all the important buttons below, because we have a fantastic chat. Ben, Future, Megan, all these folks at Niles, they come back all the time. They are here for this show, and you guys can fire it up in the chat. Tracy is here. We've got a lot of usuals of my regulars, and they're awesome folks. So you all have conversations down there. That's part of what we're doing here. A big part of what we're doing here. Let's see. I'm going to get to some more chats here. Let's see. You're only 24 minutes late. It's all right, Megan. This one's going to be a short stream. So, but I had to get this stuff out to you guys. And I really felt, because when I saw that video yesterday, and when I went back and looked and somebody highlighted it in my chat and I found a longer version of the video and then I saw it, I was like, yeah, I kind of jumped the gun on that one. I shouldn't have said that he was in an altercation with the woman. So it was, this is the problem with online as well. And I'm the one who I got to be Junior. Welcome back. I have to be responsible for that because, we get short snippets and the left does it regularly. They take things out of context. Take the altercations that happened between police and, your average citizen who just starts recording as soon as they get pulled over. They weren't recording when they were going 95 in a 55, or they weren't recording when they were, speeding through a school zone or driving recklessly in some other way. They only start recording and all we see is the altercation where they say, I'm not going to open it because I don't know what I did. I'm not going to open the door or roll down my window because I don't know what I did wrong, even though they did. So we get things out of context all the time. And if I ever do, or I find out that I did, there will be an immediate correction on that. Steele, so yeah, okay, here you go, Junior. Good point. Minnesota is going to have to hit rock bottom. They allow their government to steal, so how can we feel bad for them? It's a valid point, Junior. I've had this conversation with a couple of other people, and that seems to be a kind of a common thread. People say they're just going to have to hit rock bottom. That this has to collapse. It has to get so bad that they start begging for Donald Trump to come in and help them, or they start asking for federal law enforcement to actually help or to stay. The people will do that. The politicians, look, just like Milton Friedman told us, that it's not that we need new politicians. He said, to the contrary, what we need to do is make it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right things. And that doesn't matter what state you're in. If there is a massive upswell of people who say, you're all doing this wrong, then in order to get reelected, they should do the right things. Now, there's anomalies and exceptions, and I will say anomalies are, what would be a good example? Look at Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, who 20 some odd years, or Mitch McConnell, 30 years that they're elected representatives, and people say, how in the world are they not getting primaried? How in the world are these spineless, feckless people still holding these positions? It's crazy. And it's because there is a political machine behind it. But just like Donald Trump, we have the ability. We do have the ability to shift not the narrative, but shift the focus of our party. It just takes a lot of people to do it. A lot of people being fed up. And that's a long way that's a long explanation, Junior, of me saying you are correct. Things just have to get really bad and the people have to make their voices heard to their elected representatives. There's a lot of them. This is another comment that Junior made. TDS zombies are so brainwashed that I don't think they can come back to reality. There is some truth to that. There's a lot of people who it's just, they're locked in, locked in for life. They're never going to change. Tim Wilson, Jacob Fryer clowns. There you go. Yep, that's it. Clowns, was that rats and snakes? There you go. What is the definition of insanity? I guess they didn't learn from 2020. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That is it. They don't understand they're a problem, and therefore, to fix problems, they have to take responsibility and change, and they seem to be allergic to that. Yeah. It's the finger wagging. They're finger wagging at, it's this politician, it's that politician. Well, how do you think that they made it to office? I'm really hoping that some of these states will have their version of there's only one Donald Trump, but outliers, people who are actual outliers from the system that will get in and can get in and change things. So if, it takes somebody who has, first off, either a very clean background, like nothing that can be held against them, or they have to have lived maybe a podcast lifestyle where they were just open about anything and everything. And so they really have no secrets, because that's the problem. The politics, the court of public opinion has become so powerful in our political system that, people are terrified. Good people are terrified because maybe that one skeleton in their closet, or maybe that one thing that they did, 30 years ago, and it could have been a DUI or whatever it happens to be, that somebody had a DUI and next thing you know, they're a drunken alcoholic who can't be trusted. And, people they just crush them in the court of public opinion. So what's the point, right? What's the point? They tell themselves, there's no chance of me winning. It's done for me. Or, politics is out. And they sit on the sidelines. And meanwhile, these other people who are cozy with the system, with the deep state, they get elected and they hold office forever and ever and ever and ever. They don't understand that let's see. Both sides are playing against the middle. Both sides are playing against the middle. I wouldn't say that. But both sides aren't playing against the middle. Both sides want the middle. But one side is trying to be sane, the other side is not. That's what it is. It is. This is why Donald Trump was palatable to moderates. This is why he got some moderates. He was far better than the radical lefties. So I don't think it's. If I'm understanding what you're saying, I don't think that's entirely the case. Or maybe that's what you meant and I just misunderstood, or I'm misunderstanding. Let's see. Also, people remember protesting doesn't include standing in the middle of the road like a dumb person who doesn't understand that. Yeah. So this has become the norm for them, right? They're obstructing traffic. The ones in Europe, you can watch them gluing their hands to the not to the Autobahn, but gluing their hands to the road, cementing their hands to the road. Yeah, that's obstructing traffic, and that is illegal. Oddly enough, they rarely, at least over here, they don't seem to get prosecuted for it. And if they're, lucky enough to have a vice presidential candidate like Kamala Harris, she'll even come bail you out. Yeah, there you go, Megan. Thank you for reminding everybody. There you go. You always got my back, Megan. Everybody that's on, yeah, absolutely. Hit the like button. I appreciate it. Figured that was the case. Viewed about the commentary earlier. Let's see. Yes, they're staying power. It is. I mean, it's wild. Like their feet are just sunk in concrete, and they don't go anywhere. And that is the machine that does that. That is the deep state. That's the political establishment, the uniparty, whatever you want to call it. It is. That's what Donald Trump disrupted, which is why they were suing him. They were coming after Donald Trump because he wasn't part of the deep state. He knew all the deep state people. He had dinner parties with them. He contributed to their political campaigns, but he wasn't an insider. He's just a real estate developer who was famous, who had a hit TV show, and they got to hobnob with the Donald. But then once he comes in, this is why even though the right was saying, oh, he's never getting elected. He's never getting elected. He's not part of the machine. Lo and behold, here he is, term number 2. Yeah, oh, here you go. I just saw this one. Great point. Sorry, I just saw your comment. You were 100% right. He was not manufactured by the political machine. That's even an even better way to put it. Let's see. Not have to be bought off, but apparently that's a bite. Yeah, I had a buddy, and one of my buddies was let's just say he was an advisor to a pretty senior member of Congress. Let's just say that. And I would ask him, is it really as bad as people say it is? And he's like, yeah, dude, it's bad. That any before they make any decision, it's how is this going to affect me in my next election? Because as soon as they get elected, they are focused on re-election. It's like the fundraising starts almost immediately to get back into office. So they live and die by polling. That's why I say that for some of these politicians, they can be manipulated, like Milton Friedman. I mean, he said it. It's not that we need new politicians. We just need to get the wrong people to do the right thing. I will sing that until the day I die as my battle cry. Let's see. Oh, good. Yeah. No, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to have him on, or I'd love to be on his show. I think it'd be great. I sent him an email but I'm sure he gets a boatload of them. So I'll shoot him another one and see if he's interested in doing a collab. I would love to. He seems like such a nice dude. Talking about Jay Witt here for anybody that's listening. He's got a great show. And man, that guy churns out content like crazy. I'm it's like, bro, you're just like you're on point here. How in the world are you churning out so much content? So kudos to him. And he's a man of faith. I like dealing with people like that because, I mean, in this business you're going to deal with anybody and everybody. That's not a deal breaker, but I definitely enjoy it. Let's see. Gluing their hands to the road. Told a former friend I didn't want to talk politics. She couldn't resist. She was okay with looting during George Floyd and is fine with, I need to know the rest of this one. Told a former friend I didn't want to talk politics. She couldn't resist. She was okay with looting during George Floyd and is fine with and now I'm like, what's the rest of this one? Complete that thought because I need to hear it. Yeah. Let's see. Back when I hated John McCain for being Israel deep state and wanted to bomb Iran. Now Trump is MAGA for being deep state Israel and bombing Iran. Tyler Robinson got the Marine Sniper Handbook from encrypted messaging boards based in Minnesota. These manuals are given out by the person who was arrested. He is part of Order of the Black Lotus. That's an interesting comment. You're going into some deep territory here. No reply. Message boards based in Minnesota. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Oh gosh. Murderous ICE goons are out of hand. Oh my goodness. Somebody, this is I don't need to put it up. You guys can read it down in the chat. He says, so whoever Boerwinkle is says murderous ICE goons are out of hand. You know what doesn't happen or what doesn't happen, or you know what is avoidable if the protesters don't violently approach ICE? Nobody gets hurt. It's actually quite simple. Go about your day to day, living your life. Nothing happens. So you say it's murderous. I say that the murderous rage of the protesters is leading to the increase in violence. And as I said before, in Texas, with 10 times as many deportations, there are no issues. Isn't that strange? Let's see. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I love Gary from Paramount Tactical. He's good too. He's really good. I like that guy. I don't want to give away too much because I talk politics and I don't ever want to bring somebody in that doesn't want to be into it. But there's a person that I know who had an event, and that event was partially sponsored by Paramount Tactical. They have a great reputation. Let's see. Exactly, Democrats are so. I forget you were streaming to other platforms like who commented that? Oh, well, actually, interestingly enough, I'm not looking at my Rumble stream. I'm just looking at YouTube. So hopefully I didn't miss anything on my live chat over on Rumble. I forgot to hit the button to make it pop up. I probably should have so sorry for the guys that we've got some folks over on Rumble. I apologize to you all. If you have comments, feel free, if you're on Rumble, to also comment. Renee and Alex would be alive. Yeah. And this is it's the hard thing because it is new, it's something that just happened, but when the mudslinging starts, yes, it's a sad thing that happened, but it happened. And is it right or wrong? I don't know. We're going to figure that out in an investigation. But it's all avoidable if people just act like normal human beings. Protest like a normal person. The whistles, the gas masks, the throwing things, ramming people with your cars, blocking streets, it's all so unnecessary. It's all so illegal. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, he is. And, oh, here we go. This is it. I voted for it all, arrest and deport. Yeah. It can't stop. This is the mandate for Donald Trump, right? It's the mandate. He has to do it. And he wants to, because he knows that it's not a good thing for the country. He knows that it's leading to the fleecing of the American taxpayer. Oh, I'm reaching out to him. I'm definitely reaching out to him. Yeah, he's such a, that'd be so cool. All right, now you got me all amped up, Ben. You're a connected guy. There you go. That's fantastic. DM me if anybody finds other creators, if you find small creators too, like other small ones, just DM me over on X. That's the easiest way. I'm at Continue. You can see it at the bottom of the screen right over here. Just at Continue Freedom. I'm on all three of those platforms on the same one. I'm technically on Facebook and Instagram as well, but I post so little on those platforms. It's like a few city blocks. How about stop sending ICE to interact with him? Big country go other than hating Israel or felonies. Okay, I have to put up a haters comment here, which is fine. It's fine. Protest is like a few city blocks. Okay, how about stop sending ICE to interact with them? ICE is doing their job, and they are following ICE. So your entire premise is off. I hate to tell you, grave walkers, but it's not that they are sending ICE to the protesters. The protesters are following ICE and interfering with them wherever they go. Go arrest illegals or for something other than hating Israel. Oh gosh. Illegals they couldn't care less, I don't think, about Israel. They're more concerned about fraudulent daycares and fleecing the American people and funding terrorist organizations in Somalia. That's what they're worried about. Big country. Go somewhere else. Negative. How about that? It's just like, it's when people say that, too many people in, this city or that city, there are too many people that are being arrested, for whatever, this crime, that crime. Well, police they really only go where the crime is. So how about stop committing crimes and the police won't be there? Same thing with illegal immigrants. They're going to go, the ICE agents are going to go where the illegals are. Minneapolis is full of them. So the whole thing's a false premise. Yeah. I'm not sure if you have to announce it, but once it is a modifier that if you are if you have your CCP and you get into another altercation, it's just like driving drunk, but you're driving drunk with a loaded firearm. Even if you have your CCP, I know in Tennessee you get in trouble for that. Like it's like a modifier. So yeah, you do, just because you have your concealed carry permit doesn't mean that you're absolved of any, responsibilities, or that you can carry it and do whatever you want to do. That's not the case. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Israel has nothing to do with it. But some people, they have IDS. They really do. It's Israel derangement syndrome, and it's going to come up no matter what you're talking about. I could be talking about how to bake a pie, and they're going to bring up Israel, which I'm sick of talking about, by the way. I just really am. China's fault. This is a quiet weapon, silent wars, tactics. Yeah, okay. This valid point. There's foreign involvement in in a lot of things, but we pick up a lot of the tactics that are used by the left. It's socialism 101. You know what I mean? You can look at some of the radicals. What was the guy that I was talking about the other day? Like the color revolution, that sort of stuff. I checked pro-Jewish and answered with dozens of students facing deportation. Oh yeah, whatever. I've seen leftists trying to make the comparison between Charlie Kirk and Renee Good. It's a little maddening. Oh wow, yeah. An intellectual debate versus someone trying to run over a federal agent with their car is quite different. I think those of us with an IQ above our shoe size, we realize how silly that is. And they just need your YouTube panel. I'm going to make some of you guys moderators on here. I'm going to save your YouTube handles from my chat. Okay. I've come to the conclusion of the chat and the conclusion of my time. I'm actually about to go have a family dinner with some folks. But guys, thank you all so much. If you're on and you haven't done so already, please, please, please hit the subscribe button, like button, and notification bell. I would also appreciate it if you would share this content, maybe text it to a friend, text it to somebody who might be interested in what we're doing over here on this channel. We have an amazing chat. We're making new content all the time, and I really appreciate you guys. So God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you all in the next one. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, I didn't. And I know I'm slightly delayed. So guys, have a great one.